welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Tonight we're going to talk about SmackDown. Wasn't much to talk about. It was basically a 2-match show. Just one long segment, 2 long matches, and we were in and we're out. It was actually a fairly solid show except for that really long women's tag team match. Boy, that match was long. But, you know, it is what it is, man. All right, one note, really. So, it is official. Lacey Evans is gone from WWE, and apparently she left of her own accord to open a cafe, but not just a cafe that will specialize in a meeting place for mental health issues and Alcoholics Anonymous, etc. So let's go through this and see what the big dealio is. So this is from the Your Island News, which I'm guessing is a local newspaper from wherever it is that she's from. So she says, quote, "I thought I could be of more assistance fighting a different fight than in a WWE ring. I want to focus on helping my community to fight addiction and fight on the mental health side to normalize mental health issues." Then it starts telling the story of how she lost her father while she was in the Marine Corps just before she joined WWE. And her father dealt with mental health issues and addiction to drugs and alcohol. She said she tried to use WWE to normalize mental health issues and help children who have been affected by addiction. Now she wants to do that basically on a hands-on basis. Then it continues. Once the cafe opens on Monday, that would be the 21st, Estrella, however, I think it's star in Spanish, but I don't know how you pronounce it, hopes to open her doors to community organizations such as Alcoholics Anonymous, and said she plans to offer them free coffee and donuts in addition to a meeting place. She also wants to host seminars and classes targeted at women and military spouses on important skills that are necessary to get a job and, quote, follow their goals and aspirations. She says, most of all, Australia is happy to be able to be settled in one place with her family. The name is Sunny Summers Cafe, was inspired by her 2 daughters, Summer and Sunny. Okay, then they start talking about basically her life story, that she was a veteran who survived childhood trauma, etc. And she allowed her contract to run out on Tuesday, August 15th. And so this is cool. So she left WWE to open up a cafe, coffee and cakes and all those sorts of stuff. They had a list of her menu on here, but I already took down the article and I don't want to go back and look at it. So you have to figure it out yourself. Wherever she's from, you have to go there yourself. But a couple of wrestlers went into the cafe coffee style business. I know Mandy Rose does donuts. Her and Sonya Deville, they had a donut business. I think Seth Rollins has a coffee shop. I know Claudio, I think he sells coffee too. A popular side venture outside of opening wrestling schools must be opening coffee shops. But seeing how she's very interested in the mental health space, it stands to reason now that why she went in the direction she did in terms of exposing the character and trying to use her life story to motivate and inspire others. But when you talk that, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps kind of, get your life together, only you can save you kind of mentality, people don't like that. And it is what it is on that front, but you really don't have a choice. I know it sounds great to, rely on social workers and all that kind of stuff, but let me tell you, you don't exist after 5 o'clock. I can tell you that pretty much. You have to live with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A social worker, 9 to 5, 8 to 5, or sometimes even 9 to 4. They don't want to talk to you after that. So you have to be a very special kind of person to even be thinking about your clients or whatever once you punch out. That's why you can't rely on other people. You have to be with you all day long. That's what I tell people. So, you got to get yourself together because you are with you all day. You got to drive the ship. You got to pull the wagon because you're the only one that's going to be there all day long, So you got to be the one to do the work. So I really didn't, but I can understand a lot of people, they get offended by that. What if people don't have bootstraps? I don't want to get down that road, but Lacey Evans left the WWE on a positive note to actually go make something of herself in a different arena. Still, probably the door might be open for her to pop in for Royal Rumbles or whatever. So I'm pretty sure she's very young. I think she's like 32 or something like that. So she's not like an old hag or anything like that. So it worked out fine. Her contract elapsed on a Tuesday. She has a business opening that Monday. That's what happens when you are, on your own dime. I think the article said she'd been planning this for 2 years. So I think she was planning this even when she was pregnant. So it might have been a foregone conclusion in terms of she wasn't going to renew her contract. Who knows? Anyway, let's talk about SmackDown. We start the show with Grayson Waller and the LWO. So Grayson Waller did what everybody expected him to do, to try to drive a wedge between Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio, claiming that Santos should be jealous and upset that Rey stole his opportunity and stole his spot. And Rey, of course, denying that he stole Santos' spot. And then Grayson Waller went on a ramble, short ramble, which I actually was like, okay, he's cooking here, about how legends don't pass the torch anymore. They want all the glory and stuff. I was like, okay, let him go. Let's see where he's going with this. And then Santos Escobar cut him off, said that only person he's angry at is Austin Theory, and that he gave Rey his blessing and their family. And Austin Theory got what he deserved. Austin Theory comes out there, says that Rey shouldn't have been in that match. He got jobbed out. Adam Pearce is going to come out there and give him his championship back. Adam Pearce comes out there, really doesn't have much to say before he gets interrupted by LA Knight, who said that Austin Theory defended the title once every 3 months and managed to fumble the ball. Then he says he's going to be United States champion himself, and then challenged Austin Theory to a match and said to Adam Pearce that he thinks the match should be a number one contenders match for the United States title. To which Adam Pearce agrees and said the match is right now. So Austin Theory versus LA Knight, which was a match I thought they would build up as a match for the United States Championship. Instead, it is a match to be the number one contender to the United States Championship. And I was thinking to myself, I don't know if this is good. While I was thinking that, Miz came out, and I kind of figured what was going to happen from there. So Miz gets on commentary, and he is fantastic. I mean, he starts going after LA Knight. I think if you've been anywhere near Twitter or if you watched the show, you already know what I'm talking about. Where the Miz says that LA Knight is Fandango without the tap shoes. He's Eugene without crayons. He's the next Doink. I was like, whew, he's he's digging in. He's digging his heels in. That was great. I didn't know Eugene was famous for crayons though. Like, I think he stuffs a crayon up his nose or something like that, but that was about it, right? I was not a fan of the Eugene era of Monday Night Raw. I try to avoid 100% of that if I could. The fact that guy got so many big time matches as that character, who I believe at one point actually was literally eating boogers. I was definitely disgusted with the product of Monday Night Raw at the time. And it happened while I wasn't watching wrestling anyway. And I have no desire to relive it. I remember watching, I think it was, what was it, SummerSlam 2004 or 2000? It was one of those shows where Eugene had this really lengthy match with Triple H. And I remember being so pissed that match was so long because I didn't take Eugene seriously. I mean, you could look at him. How could you take him seriously? It's literally a short bus guy. And the idea that this guy was some kind of idiot savant when it comes to wrestling, it's like, get out of here, man. They tried hard with that Eugene character too, bro. They pushed that Eugene stuff hard. Woo-wee. As much as Jim Cornette claims he hated Eugene and poor Nick Dinsmore It's like, do you think that guy would have gotten on TV under any other circumstances? Really? Think about it. I mean, like, Jim Cornette's not very good. He can recognize talent, but his idea of who is a talent is based off of how generic are you, and how much he likes you personally. Because Nick Dinsmore wouldn't even made the roster without some kind of gimmick, and it was probably going to end up being silly. So having a booger eating retard character was probably going to be the best that he's going to be able to get away with. But I hate that damn character. I hate Eugene. Ugh, I hate it. I hate it because they took it so seriously. That's why I hate it. If it was just comedy, silly, 2-3 minute match, he do the job, whatever, yeah, that would have been fine. But the fact that he was like a serious top contender wrestling 10-minute matches, I'm like, oh, hell no. Hell no. Fandango, yeah, I was never a big fan of Fandango. I like the Fandangoing thing that when that became a craze, but I didn't like Fandango. And speaking of Fandango, he went on Conan's podcast, well, Conan and Disco, and he explained how he managed to lose his push. And it wasn't just a concussion. So what Fandango said was that he got a concussion working with the Great Khali. But because he knew he was in line to win the Intercontinental Championship, he didn't tell the company about it. So he continued wrestling, and I think he worked the Great Khali again, and he got another concussion. And then he told them about the second one. And then he said he was so confused that he ended up telling them about the first one too. And that's when he realized that he kind of had stooged himself off and that he was working through the concussions. And at this time, they was taking concussions very seriously. So once they found out that he was hiding injuries, they decided they couldn't really trust him and they didn't really want to do business with him. And therefore, they didn't want to push him anymore. And I was like, wow. And this came out of his mouth. This wasn't something like some dirt sheet writer said. This came out of his mouth that he lost his push due to his own behavior. I was like, wow. Wow. And he said that, he just didn't want to miss that opportunity. He knew he was going to get the title because apparently they had told him way in advance and he tried to work through it. I was like, wow. And look, guys have gotten injured and lost their spot. This was a guy who got injured and decided he wasn't going to talk about it and just say, forget it. And then ended up doubling down on the injury. He ended up coming out of the situation even worse and ended up losing everything. Became a comedy jobber because the company couldn't trust him anymore. That's crazy. Anyway, The Miz was dressing down LA Knight throughout the match, just continuously dressing him down. And LA Knight, of course, they did the guys at commentary, so there's some bickering back and forth. The Miz then at one point jumped in the ring. He didn't touch LA Knight, so it's not a disqualification. LA Knight tried to clothesline him over the top rope, but Miz wouldn't go. They tried it again, I think, and Miz wouldn't go. And I think Miz ended up rolling under the ring. This led to Austin Theory rolling them up from behind, pulling the tights, and winning the match. Austin Theory beating LA Knight. Solid way to get heat, I suppose. I guess it's a solid way to get him some heat. But it makes no sense to make him the number one contender for a title he just lost. That really doesn't make sense. You better off just doing automatic rematches and saving people the job. I thought maybe LA Knight would win and then Miz would cost him the title, which I thought that would be the case, but because it would be babyface versus babyface with Knight and Ray, but they decided to go with Austin Theory. So now we're in a position where Austin Theory is going to have to lose to Rey Mysterio again because they already planted the seeds for Santos. Santos was wearing a suit this week, so he's up to no good. All you got to do is wear the pinky ring again, and we're back in business. But the United States Championship situation seems to be stuck in the mud. They could have done a tournament. They could have done a fatal four-way or something. I shouldn't be asking for a fatal four-way because I already know Triple H will give you one. He'll give you a long fatal four-way too. I don't want that. As a matter of fact, I'm fine with what you did. On second thought, third thought, I'm good. All gravy. It was excellent. It was perfect. Whatever. They did tons of videos and vignettes for Edge to build up the 25-year anniversary. It was all very touching. The vignette that showed him talking to Brett and then, his run throughout the WWE, that's just an excellent video package. Very fun. I remember seeing Edge at SummerSlam 98 when he first appeared. I know he had been wrestling on TV before that, but that was like the first time I paid attention to him was SummerSlam 98. I was not paying attention to him before that. I didn't pay attention to young guys at the time anyway. I didn't care about none of them. All right. Second match, Damage Control is defeated by Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair. This match felt like it was going on forever. This match felt like a Broadway play. It was there, bro. I was just like, I told you, my length of match isn't, well, this is 15 minutes, it's too long. It's when I'm tired of looking at the people in the ring, this match is going on too long. Whether that's 10 minutes, whether that's 3 minutes, whether it's 30 minutes. When I'm tired of looking at you, this match is too long. Or if I feel like there was a nice peak that could have been hit there and you blew past it, this match is too long. This match at some point reached the too long, why are they still in the ring point. Because I'm certainly like, this is like title match length. This match is too long. Please cut this. Now, the only thing I really liked here is that Bayley introduced Io, so Io came out to her own theme. It was all very nice. I like her little entrance now, too, when she came in with her, with the flowers and everything. No, not the flowers, I'm sorry, the feathers. That was very cool. They mentioned Shotzi during commentary, but there was no Shotzi again this week. Last week, there was no Shotzi. This week, there's no Shotzi. What are they doing? Have they forgotten what they were planning to do with Bayley and Shotzi? Is there some kind of issue? Did Shotzi get injured at a house show? What's going on here? What's happening? They're taking too much time off of this storyline. You got to repeatedly touch the storyline. Bayley didn't even cut a promo talking about Shotzi. Just nothing. The finish of this match came finally when Bianca Belair hit the KOD on Bayley, which was the only responsible finish to this whole thing was Bayley taking the pin, or Charlotte was going to take the pin, one or the other. But I knew that if you had to look at a list and say either Charlotte's going to take the pin or Bayley's going to take the pin, it's probably going to be Bayley. Charlotte ain't taking no pins. Interestingly enough, they're tag team partners tonight, but Charlotte has given Bianca a lot of compliments through social media and stuff about, her charity work and her work ethic and stuff like this. And I think that even though I think she says that wrestling Sasha Banks at WrestleMania again is her dream, that I think she kind of wants that match with Bianca Belair too, which is why they're kind of sparing us the two of them feuding. So for now, they're going to be on the same side. Bayley losing is not a big deal. She always loses. She's Chris Jericho. She can lose a lot and she'll be okay. After the match, Bianca Belair was about to cut a promo. Then she got Nancy Kerrigan by Damage Control. She got jumped by all three of them. And then they concertoed her leg. The same injured leg from SummerSlam. The same injured leg they targeted in the match earlier. A smart decision. No baby faces, no security. Nobody did anything. They just kind of let it happen, which is typical WWE. Is, get out of the bad guy's way. They're committing a crime here. It's like Seattle. It's like San Francisco in WWE. No authorities do anything. Adam Pearce ain't got nothing to do. He's like, oh, it's a myth. Damage Control hitting Bayley with a chair is a myth. That didn't really happen. But I got it on video. That's hearsay. Just didn't really happen. Didn't really occur. So they're clearly continuing the Bianca Io story, but they're writing Bianca out of it. So she's probably not going to be around for a little while, and they're going to replace her with Charlotte. So it might end up being Io and Charlotte at Payback. which is fine. That's a perfectly serviceable match, but it's a good way of taking Bianca out of the conversation for a while. All right, we got a new look Street Profits. They were more intense, more focused. They were wearing baby blue. I don't know what was up with that. But they defeated Gallows and Anderson with their new finish, which is a sky-high neck breaker combination. Not bad. They're still doing the solo cups and got the same theme song and everything. So they haven't changed everything completely. So that's fair. So Street Profits win. No big deal here. Lashley comes out to celebrate with them. The crowd goes nuts for Lashley. Amazing that, how over he still is without being on TV and doing anything major. We go backstage to Paul Heyman, who is bantering with Kayla Braxton. This is probably one of the worst promos from Paul Heyman because he veered off into a lot of different things. For instance, calling LA Knight a flash in the pan and, asking Kayla Braxton about her family and stuff like this to show how offended he was that she was asking him about family and rumors and stuff like that. Yeah, I would like for him to be a little bit more pointed. But he said that Jimmy Uso will be here next week. And then when she asked how did he know that, she was like, wouldn't you like to know? Wouldn't you like to know how I know these things? So they gave the Bloodline a week off. The Bloodline goes back to carrying the show next week. Today's main event was Edge versus Sheamus, which was a hard-boiled affair. Just two grizzled veterans beating the shit out of each other. And that's basically what they did. They told a decent story with, Sheamus just really beating the tar out of Edge and really pushing Edge and really pushing him. And the emotional weight of Edge's family being at ringside, his wife being there, all the vignettes that they built up to it, you kind of felt like Sheamus is an executioner at some point. Like, yeah, Edge is getting his shit in, but Sheamus is coming across as being pretty damn strong. And then Edge kicked out of the bro kick. And I was like, all right, now I know Sheamus is losing. So like if he kicked out of the bro. Has anybody ever kicked out of the bro kick and then Sheamus still won that match? Outside of like a Money in the Bank scenario or something like that. I don't think anybody's ever kicked out of his finish and then he ultimately won the match. That's something I don't think even you nerds can dig up. I don't think you guys can figure that part out. But I knew for sure he was going to lose when Edge kicked out of the bro kick. I was like, yeah, for sure he's going to lose. You could have guessed he was going to lose because he's Sheamus, but it doesn't always go that way. All right, so the first spear, Sheamus kicked out. I was like, okay, that made Sheamus look good. And then the second one put Sheamus down. They did the nice little sell of Edge being so spent he couldn't even hook the leg. He's basically just laid across Sheamus's chest, which I think would have been a nice little kick out bait. If Sheamus would have kicked out of that, they could have explained that he didn't have enough, pressure to chest pressure and hook the leg and all that kind of stuff. So Edge wins. It was a feel good moment. His family was there. They were crying. They were very happy. Him and Sheamus hug at the end. There was no wild angle, no heel turn. After the match, Edge says that this is definitely the last time he's wrestling in Toronto, which of course does not mean that this is the last time he's going to wrestle. He said this is definitely the last time he's going to wrestle in Toronto, which means that he knows the schedule up ahead. And if he's going to sign back on, it's going to be a short deal. They're not going to get back to Toronto. I'm thinking, of course, he's going to hit Royal Rumble. He's going to hit WrestleMania, and then maybe that's it. That's my thinking. I don't think he's going to sign like a whole new contract to wrestle 8 more matches or anything like that. That would just be ridiculous. Maybe 5, at the most. But I wouldn't. I kind of want to see Edge get in there with Brock. That's one match that I know they wrestled when they were younger. They're on one of those European tours. Edge and Brock had a championship match. But I think that if you want to have Edge have a final match against an opponent that is a believable last final boss kind of opponent, either Cena or Brock, I think that's the best you can do right there. If you're going to retire him, Brock is probably the best option. Younger, vicious, has the resume. If you're a guy like Edge and his whole new thing has been grit, showing fighting spirit, yeah, there's no better match for him than Brock at that point. And you could have Brock end Edge's career. But you could always, Cena. Roman would be a nice choice too, but Roman is mixed up with the Usos. So I definitely think because of the wording that at the end of the show, which was in front of the live audience, not on TV, that he is not retiring, but maybe he won't re-sign a new contract immediately. He'll probably take some time off and then, pop in for Mania, pop in for the Saudi show or something like that. But I think if you need opponents for him, you always got Brock, and I think that a 3-match series or whatever between Brock and Edge could be great as a way of saying goodbye to Edge, just be an opponent that he hasn't had a real feud with. And it'd be somebody from his era, because he was on the upswing when Brock was there. And since you can't get Cena and you can't get Orton, Brock is probably your next best choice. The only thing is Brock he's not really considered a ruthless aggression guy because he was only there for 2 years and then he left and he was gone for 10, so he's not really considered a ruthless aggression era guy, but he is, so I would go that route, maybe and plus Brock doesn't like to work long matches. And I think that if you have a match and you put it together with good psychology, Brock and Edge could kill it, and it'd probably make Edge look strong and it make Brock look strong, and it could be really fun. So if I could put something in the universe that's not Edge and Christian ending their careers together in a tag team, either in a tag team match against, a young up and coming tag team, or them wrestling each other, I would go Brock. I think that's the best option. Or if you can't get Cena, then Brock. But this being his last match in Toronto, it was phenomenal. It was a really good match with Sheamus. I just wish that something had come out of it. A heel turn, an angle of some kind, somebody else coming out there or whatever. But to have nothing but just, hey, we're going to end on a feel-good moment. Yeah, that's great for you Edge fans, but for us who are fans of storytelling, what are we tuning in next week for other than Jimmy Uso? You just got to think about that. Jimmy Uso, okay, but we don't like him now, so what else do we have to look forward to? What heroes are going to be there that are going to inspire us or motivate us? I don't know. But let me know what you guys think of this episode of SmackDown. It felt short because some of the matches were so long. They still did some stuff that was interesting, but, SmackDown is plagued with, there's only one story on the entire show, which is Bloodline. And when the Bloodline is not there, you get really long matches like we got this week. You really could have split that women's tag team match into 2 separate matches. You could have gave the women another match if that's what you wanted to do, but they're being very bizarre. All right. Thank you guys. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They distort, so question